Namaskar, everyone. We are here with the live session of a book review. As we had promised earlier, we are going to do a book of Devayanandaprana Ji, Science of Happiness. We had previously done this book, Self-Discovery. Today we will do the Science of Happiness. We all are aware of happiness. What exactly is happiness? We all want happiness. But is it a science? Now that's the question. Here, how science of happiness she talks about through Yoga Vedanta. And this is a book by Pravrajika Divayanandaprana Ji. So let's see what everyone has to say about this book. It says, a revolutionary journey into the depths of human happiness. As you can see, a revolutionary journey into the depths of human happiness and consciousness. Now, human happiness and consciousness. This is what we are all running after. So, this is a publication of Ramakrishna Sharda Mission, New Delhi. Okay. And these are lectures. This is a compilation of lectures by Devayanandaprana Ji, conducted in August 2018 at IIT Delhi. Swami Vivekananda, in the foreword it is said, Swami Vivekananda wrote in a letter dated 17th February 1896 to his disciple Alasingha Perumal, the abstract Advaita must become living, poetic in everyday life. Out of hopelessly intricate mythology must come concrete moral forms, and out of bewildering yogism, that is yogiism, must come the most scientific and practical psychology. And all this must be put in a form so that a child may grasp it. This is my life's work. So this is what Pravrajika Divayanandaprana Ji is doing. She's helping through these books and lectures, helping us to understand happiness and its science. Human beings are essentially seekers of happiness, but unfortunately, most of them do not know the correct path to attain it. And in this book, there is an attempt to make a scientific study of happiness with deep insight from yoga and Vedanta, and with the perspectives from the fields of philosophy, positive psychology, and modern neuroscience. So see, there are so many aspects which are covered here. Philosophy, positive psychology, modern neuroscience, yoga and Vedanta, of course. So we'll go further on. Like it says in the preface here, the common goal of all human life and endeavor is nothing but happiness. But few are able to conclude life with absolute contentment. This is everybody's experience, like most of us. We always are oscillating between happiness and sorrow. So how can we always be happy is the question. And we all want that. And that is why we want to experience new things. But we do not understand nor find a way to substitute and raise the inner drive for happiness. And as a result, what happens? We move around limited experiences. Now, let's go on and understand and see what the book contains, the index. Firstly, it says, understanding happiness. Next, the ladder of happiness. Next topic is source of happiness. Thou art that. This she will talk about Yoga Vedanta. Self-inquiry. Is Atman a theory? Think. Now this is a topic to think about. Most of us don't understand, is Atman a theory? So she's taking up stories and telling you how it is possible and understand that Atman is not a theory. How to know the knower? That is all based on Yoga Vedanta. Then existential inquiry and meditation. Finally, the summary and recapitulation. So how do you study happiness scientifically? So first we have to understand what happiness is. So we all acknowledge that happiness is something that we value above everything else. But we lack the clarity in understanding what happiness means and invest our time and energy in things that do not produce long-term happiness. That is why there is a need to have absolute clarity about what defines happiness. So let's have absolute clarity of what defines happiness. It should not be an abstract idea. If it is an abstract and hazy idea, then it will devalue happiness. Hence, let us clear our basic understanding of happiness, study it from different angles, and look closer into different levels of happiness that are available to human experience. You see? So there are many levels of happiness which are available to us. And then she will talk about it here. What is the first person and the third person experience? Definition of happiness. So definition of happiness is, what is it really? How do we define happiness? It's all according to each person. So firstly, she says, each one of us understands happiness a little differently, according to the quality of our mind. So what is the quality of our mind? What are the different qualities? Sattvic happiness, Rajasic happiness, and Tamasic happiness. So next, she explains all these happinesses. Then there is a level of happiness. Levels of happiness. What are the levels of happiness? We are not at all aware of. So please read the book to understand what can be the levels of happiness. Then she talks about various psychologists here who have given different ways. Now let's come to this table where she's talking about determinants of happiness. Absolute income, social relationship, social comparisons, employment status, self-esteem, aspirations, sense of purpose. There are so many things. Relative income, consumption patterns, time usage, genetics, health, age. So many things which are important to us, right? For happiness. So one by one, she'll discuss like social media, how social media determines happiness, and what is the first level of happiness. Here she's giving it in a nutshell. Let's read this. Happiness is a state of mind based on sattva. A state is not an object-based conditional space. It is independent of content but dependent on awareness. And finally, it can be generated, happiness can be generated not by the influx of objects but by the unfoldment of greater and greater awareness. Okay, then there are sources of happiness. This, of course, we will all understand accordingly what are our sources of happiness, what do we really enjoy. So there are different states in which we stay, that is the Jagrat state, when we are awake. Then there is the dream state, Swapna state, and finally the Shushupti, where we have the deep sleep state. So these three states she will discuss here according to Upanishad talk. Now, can you measure happiness? Now that's the question. So let's come to this. Measuring happiness. What are the indices of happiness? Index of happiness. There is an index. So she will discuss it through the psychological aspects. Negative and positive. I hope you can see this table here given. So she's taken all the negative emotions, regret, hate, fear, anger, shame, guilt, sadness, and the positive ones, love, joy, pride, empathy, hope, happiness. Now, it is positive, negative effect of emotion schedule here. Now, how does it measure it? There is a system that measures it, the psychological. I'm not going to read out the name. You must come to the book and read it yourself. It tracks the rate at which our mind is fluctuating into positive and negative moods. And when we do an act of service, how long does our good mood prevail? And if we do a wrong act, how long does the bad mood prevail? This can be measured using this scale. So, and then she will explain it. The parameters used in overall quality of life. What are the parameters? Physical health, psychological level, level of independence, social relationships, and environment. Let's go further. Here is a graph given about the anatomy of a thought. So a thought also has an anatomy. What is it? Thought. In the thought, there are emotions, there are ideas, and there is energy. So if in a negative thought, we put in lots of energy, we get drained. So how to stabilize it? Meditation is the art of stabilizing both the modifications of the mind and the thought. And this is extensively explained in the chapters. So here, Didi is talking about, let us take a look at some basic logical systems used in science and Vedanta. So what are the logical systems used? One side we have science, the other side we have Vedanta. Law of identity. A concept in a discourse must have the same meaning, right? Anything which is talked about has the same meaning. Correspondingly, theory, that is, truth corresponds to reality. It is called Paramatruth, knowledge. Knowing a thing as it is true knowledge. Law of excluded middle. A statement can be true or false. If A is equal to A, it means A is not equal to B. Here it said, truth is conformity of coherent to a proposition within a system. So these things you have to read to understand, because they are all explained, and I don't think I can explain this. So we have to read the book and understand what Didi is talking about in all these. So these are given in graphic forms, tabular forms. Here is a graph of where it says, if you have self-awareness, high self-awareness leads to better team performance. So even in your work life, in your home life, anywhere, this kind of a book will help you to be happy all the time and to understand the ups and downs of your mind so that you can keep it at a higher level. That is through meditation, yoga, and then she will talk about existential inquiry and meditation. So here is all the things that we can cover here. Everything, every aspect of happiness is covered in a very scientific manner in this book. So please do read the book and stay tuned to Devakshar. Thank you for being with us.